Welcome to the Safari Arie Experience with your host, Brandon McCaskill and Arie Hugerbrick, otherwise known as Safari Arie.
So we're recording again.
All right, yeah, we're recording. This is the extended version of our roadshow experience.
Okay.
So what were we talking about?
That was the thing I was just going to say. We actually, before we hit the record button a second time,
Yeah.
we were talking about something else that potentially sidetracked the whole vibe of what we were talking about. But what we were more or less initially sort of talking about was just getting to, hold on a sec. I can do this just because this is, no, I'm not, sorry. I'm not,
Okay.
sorry, I just got a message, whatever. I don't know why I did that. Sorry, I apologize. We're talking about just getting to the Terry Fox Memorial and just, just sort of reaching that milestone, literally like in life, like 12,340 kilometers, 285 days, 55 hosts.
Right.
And it's funny because this is the thing is like, there's an aspect where it's like, right now to kind of talk about it, I'm almost like, it's once again, it's like I sort of said this some of our shows, it's like, I don't know if I want this, I don't know if I want to be recording right now because I don't know what my thoughts are but part of this reason behind the show is to just do a brain vomit or whatever and just try to get to be able to help articulate. Because one of the most common questions I get when it comes to like quote unquote like media is they're like what have you taken from like what, like how has this changed you, or and it's just like the thing is with my ride, the generosity has never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've almost had like 285, and obviously it's not every single day, except if you're in Atlantic Canada. If you're in Atlantic Canada, the generosity is every single day. But it's like every day continued through the whole trip. The generosity has just never ended. I mean, I've always seemed to have gotten a roof over my head, and it's just like, and so it's like, well, what have you taken from, like, what have you, and it's like, I don't know how to properly answer that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is something because like, it's, it's one of those things that, you're on this journey.
Yeah.
And, and then it's when you get to the end of the journey that you look back and you go, oh, okay, this. It's so clear.
Yeah.
But then it's like because a lot of times when you're on the journey, things aren't really clear because you're moving, you're in constant motion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when things are in constant motion, it's like being in constant flux.
Yeah.
Right. And so when people say, well, what are you learning from this? Or what are you taking from this? It's like, but everything's moving.
Yeah.
So like, I can't grasp anything because everything's moving. It's never ending.
Yeah.
The generosity never ended.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I guess that's, sometimes it's like, how do I articulate the experience in a sentence, a quote,
right?
The Safari Arie quote that's going to be in a stone someday engraved. Yeah. You know what I mean? How am I supposed to answer that question when it never ends?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have some thoughts on that. Like, I mean, I'm definitely a different person. It's funny. I am noticing that I'm definitely a different person. I'm the one thing I'll say for sure, and I don't, it's not necessarily life shattering, but I definitely far more engaging. Like,
right. Oh yeah.
As a rule, I would never engage a stranger. I mean, other than good morning as you walk by. Usually, it's funny how people say good morning in the morning because we're fresh and we haven't been beaten by the day. Because people don't usually say good afternoon, when you walk past them on the sidewalk because they've just gone through 8 hours of day-to-day life, you know what I mean? But
Oh
in the
yeah.
morning, the world hasn't beaten them down, so everyone's good morning, good morning, good morning.
Yeah.
But other than that, I
Hmm.
digress. It's like I don't really engage strangers because it's just not my thing. I'm not really a people person.
Yeah.
um, but I've realized, I kind of reflected, and it's like I'm far more engaging of actually even approaching strangers or just starting a conversation with them,
Right.
because I've had such amazing conversations with people that I had no idea where it would lead.
Right.
Like one of the most recent, well, I mean, yeah, one of the most recent, like I had this guy, Steven, I believe his name. Yeah, I remember I had Steven, I think. Yeah, trying. It's like so many names sometimes. I hope I got that right,
Yeah.
Steve. I was going around Stanley Park, and now I'm going to feel bad because what we're talking about, there is a name I forget. Anyways, I was going around Stanley Park in Vancouver,
Hmm.
and uh, I took this photo of this statue of this racer. He's an Olympic racer, black Olympic racer,
Hmm.
a world, like pretty famous, like he's a famous Canadian.
Yeah.
And I had taken a photo and sort of moved on, and I was looking at the view across the water of Vancouver about taking a photo there. And this runner comes up to me, and this is where I forget the guy, I forget the this famous Canadian's name, but he's like, "Do you know so and so?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Nope, never heard of him."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, would you like to hear about so and so?"
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Okay, kind of strange
Yeah.
that someone, but hey, but you know what? I've learned from this ride. You just follow the flow, go wherever it leads. You have no idea." So I said, "Sure,
Yeah.
go ahead, tell me about so and so." I'm not a runner, but you know what? I'm curious to where this conversation is going to lead.
Yeah.
So he tells me about how this runner was like Canadian famous, Olympics, and went into schools to inspire kids, and and that's why I feel really bad right in this moment that I can't think of this runner's name. Um, Anyways, we started talking, and then I somehow, like, I wasn't loaded on my bike. I was just on my bike,
Yeah.
and so I don't know, somehow my bike ride came up, and he's like, "Are you that Safari Arie guy?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." He goes, "I heard the radio interview on CBC Vancouver with Gloria Makarenko."
Oh yeah.
Um, and this guy was so engaged in that interview. Like, this was like 2 weeks after a radio. It was an 11-minute radio interview. They told me it'd be 7 minutes, but Gloria got so into my story, she actually went on for 11 minutes.
Oh no.
Um, but it was like, this would have been like a week. Well, I'd say maybe this was, let's say a couple days. This is a couple days later.
Yeah.
And this guy was like pulling from the interview. Like, he knew
Yeah.
this, he knew that. He's like days later kind of deal. Um, and it's just like, first it was just like, kind of mind blowing, but it's
Yeah.
just, he just came up to me and started talking kind of
Hmm.
deal. But I find that, like, I'm far more engaging with strangers, or strangers, kind of a dumb word, but people, like, just people I've
Yeah.
never met, people I don't know,
Hmm.
kind of deal. And so, like, yeah, definitely me as a person is definitely changed and
Yeah.
changing. But, like I said, everything is in flux, everything's still moving.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
interesting.
so it's hard to articulate what it all means because it's still going. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, technically, when it comes from across Canada,
Yeah.
um, I'm finished that part.
Yeah.
Um,
So the beginning, what would you say, like your initial purpose of starting this? Has it changed at all? Or has it?
when I started the ride, I started in November, so I was
Right.
going to pedal through the 2018-20 winter.
Yeah.
And I literally thought every single minute of every single mile would suck, because who wants to bike in the winter?
Yeah.
Like, that sucks. You know what I mean? And I don't like the cold any more than anybody. I mean, I have a
No.
home in Belize, in the
Yeah.
middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
My ideal temperatures are 85, 100% humidity. That's my idea of, nice temperatures. Like, certainly not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was my anticipation, expectation of the first 6 months of this ride.
Hmm.
And then it just completely changed. Like
Hmm.
it just, and I swear I've ridden the most epic ride that's ever been ridden across this country.
Hmm. That's
And
cool.
it's like, yeah, but it's like, do you know how hard it is to process that,
No.
how to articulate that in a sentence? Like what?
Yeah, there's so much to articulate.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't really know what to ask. I'm so lost in your story.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
like
the
you
thing
should
is,
be asking me the questions.
yeah, no, but and actually, it's a very valid point. Like you say, it's like it's so easy to get lost
Yeah,
in all of it because it's so complex and
yeah,
it's just so unheard of the way it played out.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just,
Hmm. Yeah,
and the thing is this is the other aspect is like I feel like I'm supposed to have this answer now.
hmm.
I feel like, okay, you've pedaled over 12,000 kilometers.
Yeah,
Certainly by now you have it figured out.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Certainly by now.
yeah.
Um, you know, and
Hmm.
and the thing is maybe I actually do. I just haven't figured out how to articulate it, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, in a way that makes sense or that's digestible, I guess,
yeah.
because it's so scattered.
Because the other aspect is different people watch the ride from different lenses.
Yeah,
So, you know, they take completely different things away, you
mm-hmm.
know, from what they see.
Yeah.
You know, but they're yeah, it's definitely through a completely different lens.
Hmm.
Um,
Very, very interesting topic for sure. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, you've kind of got me.
We're not allowed to have this dead space because
I
people are
know,
like,
but it's hard
okay, now
because
I'm
it's like
bored.
I don't even know what to talk about now. It's just like I don't know. Do you have anything you want to kind of share with us? With this being your last moments in Canada, or I mean, is there anything that you'll
For a
miss
while.
about Canada? Like, obviously there is, but like maybe talk about some of those things that you'll miss about Canada.
Well, I mean, in a strange sort of way,
Yeah.
I feel like in many ways my story,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately it's well, I say my story, but it's actually the story of Canadian generosity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that that can be a huge source of pride. I mean, for
Yeah.
Canadians as a whole.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool, kind of neat if, you know, this story could be an example of what's possible.
Right.
Um, and you know, because I think, because that's the thing is I think, you know, all the people that reached out, the connections, the interactions, I think ultimately really what they were being at the end of the day is they were simply being human.
Yeah.
The problem is there's so much in this world that is trying to take our humanness away from us,
Mm-hmm.
and causing us to forget.
Yeah.
Like I said, sorry, spam call. Um, like I said, you know, in the morning, we generally say good morning to people on the street when we
Yeah.
walk by. But, you know, you know, by lunchtime, that's, you know, we've forgotten how to do that kind of deal.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I hope and think that maybe the story could be an example of what it means to be human, to
Mm.
remind us what it means to be human. Um, I am so thankful that so many people actually had an opportunity to be part of it. I mean, because the reality is, you know, I just pedaled the bike. You know what I mean? This is a far, far bigger story than I could have ever written in my entire life.
Yeah.
This is not like a quote unquote Safari Arie story.
Hmm.
This is a story of um, tons or hundred, like let's just say hundreds of Canadians. Like, well, I mean, because even like, I mean, my website, I document quite a few, like the hosting and other connections. But I mean,
Mhm.
there's so much more that doesn't make the website because it's just simply not possible.
Yeah.
So, so this ride is an accumulation of hundreds and hundreds of interactions and connections, um, and moments of generosity. And so uh, I think it's just amazing that so many people could actually be a part of that story. Like a lot of people that commented on this Terry Fox photos that I posted from the end.
Mhm.
Um, Many of the people that commented were hosts of mine,
Right.
and it was really nice. It was really cool to not only thank them for the comment, because most of like the comments were generally congratulations and that kind of comment, but
Yeah.
it was also really cool to say not only thank you, but thank you for being part of the story.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity for a lot of people who, you know in their normal day-to-day lives would not necessarily have been exposed to being part of this story.
Right.
And so it gave, just regular people being human, being
Mhm.
generous, it gave them a chance to be part of this bigger story that, like I said, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than Safari Arie kind of deal. It's
Right.
just it gave them an opportunity to be, and I think that like I think that is really cool. I think that for me, yeah, I guess it's sort of kind of like, and that's why we kind of do the show, because it gives me a chance to kind of, or just to figure out what's going on in my head. But just
Yeah.
that fact that gave regular people a chance to be a part of another story
Hmm.
that that they would never in their day-to-day lives come across or be part of, and just it gave them their own little chapter in this story. Because I mean, that's ultimately, everything is a story. Everything we do, even from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, between those two time zones, or time, from like 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., sorry, like morning to night,
Yeah.
that's a story.
Hmm.
It's a small story in the grand scheme of the bigger stories, but it's still a story. And so, um, I think it's really cool that people that that would not have you know ever thought to be part of this different kind of story. They each got their kind of their little chapter,
Yeah.
where they were just being human. They didn't even, it wasn't the agenda. It wasn't, they didn't think, they just responded.
Yeah. I
And
think
because
there's
they
a hunger for that.
responded, they became a piece in the bigger story.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think there's such a hunger for that. People want to be human, but like you said earlier, more and more we're taking our humanity is being taken from us.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you're saying is true. Like you're giving them the opportunity to apply their humanity again, which is really beautiful, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think also is a situation where it's like, it's not like they had to think about it. They just simply
Yeah.
responded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that there, it was
It's
I think for
nature.
many of the people, it was literally a spontaneous, response.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're sort of seeing over and over through this ride, is just people spontaneously responding.
Yeah.
And in the end, instead of responding like in an unhuman way, whatever that, I don't know, that's a goofy word, but they responded in a human way.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, yeah.
Yeah.
So, this ride presented that opportunity for people that, so yeah, like, so, without, like, obviously without a doubt, it's a pretty special experience.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's amazing that so many people had their little piece in it.
Hmm. That's
Because
so
that's the
cool.
thing is like, at the end of the day, I'm just the guy pedaling the bike.
Yeah.
And I think maybe, like, we all have certain strengths and certain gifts. And I mean, undoubtedly, I do have a strength or gift of determination, and to see, um, the job done, meaning pedal the kilometers.
Yeah.
I do have that in me, but the truth of the matter is like, and if I'm not a people person,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's caused me, and I guess this is an area, I mean, I like to think that I'm a reasonably polite person
Hmm.
and that I'm reasonably mindful to do what's right
Yeah.
when required to, but I'm not really a people person.
Hmm.
Yet it's interesting how somehow all these people were drawn,
Yeah.
to be a part of this. Um,
Yeah. That's so cool.
it's, yeah, yeah, like I'm not a people person. Like if I don't see someone for another 6 weeks, I'm good. I'm good, you
Like
know?
it's like I said before, it's just that there's such a craving for just the
Yeah.
opportunity to for I don't know. I think it's probably due to social media, the relationships through texting and all, like we're starving ourselves of
Hmm.
this humanity. That's why, like you're saying,
We
you
want
don't
some,
even
we want to be part of something authentic.
exactly. Yeah. And
And
it's
that's the thing is for me, it is like, whether you like me or don't,
yeah,
it's not really my concern
no.
as long as I'm authentic.
And
Um,
it's not even about like a famous biker coming through town and you have this opportunity to engage in
no.
something authentic, but it's about your everyday relationships, right? Like
Hmm.
making sure you're
How you treat people on a
exactly.
day-to-day basis.
Oh, that's
Because
so
if I
cool.
was a miserable so-and-so,
Yeah,
you know, people would get that vibe pretty quickly.
that's a
Um,
that's powerful. Yeah, yeah. It just makes you, especially during COVID. Well, COVID's making it almost literally
oh
impossible to
yeah,
see family. But
yeah,
like, I think in a sense, that's one thing that COVID's brought to light is like how important family is and how we
hmm,
shouldn't take those things for granted, right? So, and I think that yeah, that's another thing that's causing us to starve for humanity again. Like I know for my wife and I, not only COVID, but like obviously our son's health conditions has kind of caused us to isolate ourselves from humanity. And I
okay,
feel it all the time where, I just want to be around people again. That's besides my wife and my son. It's just like, hey,
hmm,
I starve for that engagement. So there's definitely a hunger that is good. It's a
yeah,
natural instinct to desire that stuff, I guess. But yeah, cool.
yeah. So I don't know if we figured anything out or
I
if we
think that was
solved
awesome.
any. Yeah,
Powerful.
okay. Well,
Cool.
as long as you're happy. um, yeah,
Uh,
no, it's something I think about, but it is actually really difficult for me to articulate.
mhm,
But and and then that's just the thing is it's and it's partially with with so much generosity. I feel
yeah.
like I should have it figured out.
Hmm,
Um, and it sort of, and I don't know if that's the thing is because I do think, I think about a lot of things,
yeah.
and I get, what I mean, I try to be very mindful, but it's like I don't know, like, am I overthinking this,
Hmm,
you know, or but it just, like I said, I feel like it's something like, because everyone has been so generous,
yeah.
I have to have it figured out.
Hmm,
I guess that's it. And I think that's, yeah, I think that's where I sometimes come into a roadblock with
yeah.
thinking about this, is it's like, people have been so generous. You have no excuse not to have this figured out. So what is it? Like,
Yeah. And
you know,
do you think it's not okay to not have it figured out? Do you feel like you're disservicing someone or something?
um, I suppose in a sense, I do.
Yeah.
But then in a sense, I'm constantly reminded, because of the generosity of people and how things
Yeah.
continue to come together. I'm just constantly reminded, it's like, okay, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Just keep going, because the answers do. I mean, ultimately, the answers do provide themselves.
Hmm.
I mean, even, it's kind of funny, it's sort of unrelated, but it's like, I wanted to get a photographer.
Yeah.
Um, to take some photos,
Hmm.
and a newspaper wanted to do a story. I'd actually, full disclosure, I emailed them, say, hey, this is who I am, and this is why I'm in Victoria right now. And
Yeah.
so they wanted to do a photo shoot at the memorial, and I hadn't figured out a photographer in the city, because it's like, I don't know anyone in this city. It's not my city. And I was a little bit frustrated and panicked about that, because it's like, I got to move on, but I don't have a photographer. And it's like,
Yeah.
you can't just call 1-800 photographer. Can you come down to this place, and I need you for 20, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever,
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, hold on a second. I'm about to go meet a photographer. I was halfway there. It's like, I'm about to go meet a photographer.
Hmm.
And, so it's like, he takes a couple of shots, and it's like, I'm guessing you freelance, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, of course I freelance. Okay, I don't want to do an iPhone selfie here. Can he's like, no problem. He goes, come back. Well, because I only live around the corner.
Yeah.
Come back tomorrow, and we'll do the photo shoot, and free of charge. I'm
Wow.
like, what? He's like,
And he didn't want any credit, eh?
no, he wouldn't even know, because I
Wow.
try, because how, like, people know I like to post thank yous
Yeah.
to everyone that helped me.
See, that's just that example
and
of generosity, eh?
Yeah,
Humility.
but I mean, like, he sent me, was it 7 or 9 photos? I think he sent me 9 photos edited. He edited them and sent them to me within an hour.
Wow.
Um,
Is this like an older fella, or is it?
no,
No?
no, he's young. Well, because I'm old. It's probably your age. Um,
Okay. I'll take
however old you are, but no, he's younger than me. But yeah, no, he on his Saturday morning, he came out, and he took, like, the first photo shoot he did. That only took like 5 minutes, not even. He was snap, snap, snap. All right, have a good day, kind of. Well, but then we talked or whatever for a minute. But
Yeah.
this one, he's like, okay, position yourself this way, position yourself that way.
Yeah.
I was like, totally, like, I was just expecting, because it was free and it was his time.
Yeah.
I figured he was going to take like 5 minutes at max, kind of deal. And he's like, okay, now position yourself this way. And it's like, and I'm just in my head, I'm going, wow, like, this guy's being really generous with his time. Like,
Yeah,
you know
kidding.
what I mean? Like, because all the photos that he takes, he now has to look. And as a photographer, he's likely going to edit them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's like, so every photo he takes is just more and more and more work. And as I'm positioning myself the way he's telling me, I'm like, it's like, I'm thinking, dude, you're making yourself more work. You know what I mean? And it's like, but yeah, but
So
no,
cool.
like, he had a professional photographer for free.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Gee, it's like you got a guardian angel that's just with you all the time.
yeah, I know.
Where can I get myself one of those?
Yeah, no, but that's that's the thing, is it's like almost like on a daily basis kind of
Yeah.
deal. And it's like, so then people say, well, so, like, what's, so what have you figured out? Like, what's the secret to life?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you like, how do you respond to, so what does this all mean? Why you? Like, what, like,
I think when, like, the closest thing I can relate to is like just things that happen where you just feel like you feel unworthy. I don't know if you can relate to that, but like when I get in the moments of like I don't know even how to reply to it. It's just, I think the simplest thing I can say is thank you, whether it's, to whatever you believe in, the universe or God or whatever. I think it was Tom Hanks. He said that someone asked him that. He said, if it's one word that I would like to say every single day, it's thank you. And he credited it to God. So that's just what it made me think of.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Yeah, and I think that would be, yeah, like, it's pretty hard. Yeah, I mean, that's when I go to bed, it's like, thank you, God. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, thank you for another amazing day. Yeah, I mean, really, that's, that's pretty much all you can. Yeah, I mean,
like as you're talking here, I'm kind of relating it to every time I look at astronomy. Like when you look at deep space and you just see these billions of galaxies, it's just way beyond our understanding.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right. And it's just kind of puts you in perspective of how small and insignificant we are. And yet there's a God that loves us, right?
Mhm.
So that just, all I can say is thank you. Like, I don't even try to figure it out. Just like mind blown.
Yeah, and I think that's, and I think that's the other aspect. It's like I don't want to say I don't even try to figure it out
Yeah.
because like I want to, but I think what I
Yeah.
also have to be is I think because that's the thing is I think what you need, and this is actually I think maybe what I try to do maybe first and foremost is just be open to the answers to come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good
So
point.
the thing is like, I guess in many ways, it's like, I don't really want it necessarily figured out in the sense that okay, so if I, you know what, okay, we're going to hammer this out. And by the time this show is over, I'm going to have it figured out.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so we figure out it's blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay. Except usually the things that we think are truth, the things that we believe,
Mhm.
actually X amount of years down the road are not believed anymore. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Whether it's, we just, it's like a teenager, a 20-year-old thinks they know it all.
Yeah.
And then they mature and then they realize, oh, I did not know it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the wise people come to the realization that I know nothing kind of
Mhm.
deal. Um, and so I think it's important to simply just be open, um, to the answer coming to you when it needs to come to you or when it's required.
Yeah.
Um, so there's an aspect where it's like, I don't necessarily want to have it figured out because I think that's where I become I don't want to say a know-it-all, but for lack of a better way of articulating it, as soon as I come up with an answer, well, now I know I'm a know-it-all.
Hmm.
And, people that are know-it-alls, they, once they think they know it all, then they're not open to other suggestions or other thinking or other thought processes.
Yeah.
So um, I guess there's a sense where it's like, I'm just going to continue to grow from these experiences. I'm going to continue to share these experiences so that people can interpret them in their own ways. But I will continue to be open to how these experiences are going to change me.
Hmm.
Um, and ultimately being on this path of whoever it is that I'm supposed to be at the end of this life, you know, as long as I'm moving forward and not backward, and I'm attempting to stay on the path, I think there's, um, if we look at history and potentially, like, for example, maybe to use an example of like the indigenous people of North America, they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of wisdom in how they interacted and related to nature, and they knew this planet like they could put their fingertips on the earth, and the wisdom, you know what I mean, like they just,
Mhm.
but it was wisdom. It wasn't, how do we make a quick buck, how do we
Yeah.
turn this forest into a parking lot that's going to make money, how do we, no, everything is connected and everything is meant to live together. And
There's no
you know
strategy.
yeah, there's no yeah, it's just wisdom. There's a way, because the thing is at the end of the day, whether we want to like this or not, or agree or disagree, there is a way the universe works, whether we like it or not. If you drop a bowling ball on your foot, it's going to hurt. There's no way to get away from that. That's just the way it is. Well, same with the universe and nature. There is a way that it is. Now we come
Mhm.
in and we try to manipulate and this, that. And as you can see, we look around the planet and it's like, oops, we screwed up royally because we
Mhm.
tried to change the way it is.
Yeah.
So, but then if you read and you look, and not that I'm an expert, I wish I had the time. And then just saying that, I realize it's kind of embarrassing to not make the time. But if you read a little bit about how the indigenous people lived on the land and in the land,
Mhm.
they were wise enough to see the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we come in and make a mess of it because we're not interested in the way. We
Hmm.
just want to do it our way.
Yeah.
And so, so I think just there's a universal way of the way things, and so just just to continue, just to sort of be open to new answers, like like we're asking a question, like and ultimately there is an answer, but that doesn't mean that answer is not going to change over
Mm,
time. And so just being open to however that answer evolves,
yeah.
um, kind of deal. And
Mm.
so, yeah, wow, I feel so much wiser now. I'm glad I watched the show.
I know. Wow. That's deep, man.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
deep. Well, cool. Well, what do you think?
I think we probably went long enough.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
And to
done.
those people that actually stuck through, appreciate it.
You're a
You know what?
saint.
Like, I mean, while we first started, we did an intro to the show. It was like, if people want to tune in, great. If people don't, that's
Yeah.
fine too. Like, that's the purpose of this show, is just more just for us to chat and to just have a conversation and just see where the rabbit hole goes. And
Yeah.
I guess it's almost more for selfish reasons than not. It's just like, well, if we're going to have this conversation, we might as well hit the record button,
Yeah.
because just maybe somebody else might be interested. And so anyways, if you have
That's right.
listened to this far, then obviously you're a hardcore Safari Arie fan.
Or
to
you got
sound corny,
a
but
hunk for
anyways,
Safari Ari.
yeah, safariarie.ca, Safari Arie on a bike. But anyways, no, but if you listen this far, then you're a hardcore Safari Arie fan, or whatever. But it's just, um, then but that's the thing though, is it's actually kind of cool to have those people that are actually, what, like, there's what the world's doing, and then there's like, hey, there's a journey. And
Mm-hmm.
rather than watch YouTube videos of whatever that most of the junk is, which we all sort of get sucked into every once in a while, but could easily watch you know um someone yelling at somebody else and starting a fight or whatever. So, but whatever. But now we're just rambling. So why don't you just hit the unrecord button,
I shall
and
do that. Thank you guys
until
for
next time.
watching.
Yep.
Catch you next time.
Later. Bye.